To the Island Podcast with your host, Matthew Siclosi. So, it's been a while since we did a podcast, but I have our very first return guest, Kaitlyn Cook.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be back. Thank you, Matthew, for having me back. I'm kind of surprised that I'm back.
No problem. So, how is everything down there?
So everything is good. I mean, we're talking post-election. First of all, I would like to point out my election experience because this shows you how many hoops and bounds a citizen had to go through. So I have voted before. I mean, I turned 18 when I was in high school and I could vote. So I voted in my hometown when I was 18. And then I went off to college and I was able to vote again in another election. So I voted in college in my college town. And then this year I was able to vote again. And you have to be registered to vote. And so I just went online, super quick, super easy. It said, I'm registered in my hometown. I can vote in my hometown. So here's a little confession. I was actually not going to vote in this election. Yeah, because I just really wasn't into either party. And there was just so much going on. I was like, you know what? I don't want to vote. But I was talking to my coworkers and they convinced me, it's your right. You have to vote. You have to voice your opinion, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'll vote. So they let me have half a day. So I had to take a 2-hour drive home to go vote, show up 8 a.m. at the voting place. And they were like, oh, your name's not in the book. So I was like, well, that's weird because it said I was registered to vote and I could vote here. And they were like, nope, you can't. So they had to call down to the courthouse. The courthouse said I was not registered. So I had to drive to the courthouse. I mean, granted, I'm from a small town, like 20 people. So I got registered then and there, and I could vote within a matter of like 15 minutes. So I did.
Okay.
And then I had to drive 2 hours back to work.
Nice. See, yeah. Because, you guys do it a little differently. Like with us, I'm pretty sure if you just like show up like unregistered and just like have like something like your property tax bill that just says you live where you say you live, they'll let you vote.
Well, see, that's the thing. I had my driver's license because you have to have 2 forms of ID. And so I had my driver's license because it has my picture and my house address. But they wanted like a credit card has my name and everything, but they wouldn't accept that.
No, typically you wouldn't accept a credit card.
But because I don't have my birth certificate on, like nobody has that. I don't even have my social on me. I know my social, but I just had to tell them my social and it was fine. But it was just a matter of like so many different steps. And I think that's a reason why a lot of people don't vote because it's a mess trying to get registered. And
it becomes
I'm not saying that's, it's discouraging. I'm not saying that's, a good excuse not to vote, but I almost didn't vote.
But that's also been like a tactic of the Republicans for like the last while, right? Is to try and make it more and more strenuous to actually vote, to discourage, especially, the people like you who were kind of like in the middle and not really. Yeah. And,
definitely.
Yeah. So.
Same with like discouraging, minorities not to vote and stuff with different hoops and stuff.
Right.
No, but other than that, I did vote, and I'm proud.
You said that you weren't planning on voting.
I was not planning on voting. Just everything up until the election, like the election day, is just a lot to handle.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't go, 10 feet outside your house without seeing, signs on TV. There were so many commercials, and not even just like saying who to vote for, but just saying, to vote, which is great. But I mean, it can be overwhelming.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I get that. I mean, like this is it. Like I'm looking at it from like an outsider looking in. Like part of the reason why I want to have Auntie is that like I can't imagine being there right now, being in the middle, and not to say that other people don't have a stake, because we kind of do. Just this country's not just directly neighboring you, but kind of like in your sphere. Like we kind of do have a stake in a more distant sense of what goes on in your country, but like you guys really have a stake about what goes on, what happens there, who's who, and who gets elected where. And oh god, I just can't imagine it like right now, and especially like right now as in the state it is right now, where you have one guy who's more or less won and another guy who's not, at least on the face of it, not accepting.
Right. Oh yeah, right. Did you also see that Kanye West ran?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's
Yeah.
part of it. I think he won like a lot of votes in like I think like Oklahoma. He won a lot of votes at like Oklahoma went like hard Trump. Like I think every county was overwhelmingly Trump. But I think he got like a substantial amount of votes in Oklahoma, if I'm not mistaken, across the entire state.
Honestly, I think if Kanye won like the Electoral College, that would have just been like, I would have gone on a boat.
So here's the thing: is the Electoral College still technically hasn't voted yet, right? They don't actually go and cast their votes until
right. I don't think they do that until like December. 14th? Yeah, it's later in December.
Yeah. So it's still like technically speaking, the Electoral College is not beholden to vote for one candidate or another. They are technically free of will to vote for whoever they feel they should vote for. So,
yeah,
I mean, who knows? Kanye is theoretically still possible. Kanye could get 538 votes.
He's still in the running.
It is a technical possibility. Which I wouldn't rule it out. I think it's too soon to call out. We might. It's too soon to call out Kanye. President Kanye. Does he even have a VP? Kanye. I don't know. Who would Kanye pick as his VP? Like what's? I don't know. Jay-Z. I don't know. Jay-Z. I don't know about much of the crowds that Kanye hangs out with. I am mostly a country and rock fan, so I can't. But I do remember seeing him on the Dave Chappelle show once with Common, so I'd like to think that he would have Common as his VP. I mean, I can see it. And I know very little about Kanye. I think he's married to what? Kim? Yeah. Kim Kardashian? Yeah. So she'd be the first lady? Yeah, she would. She would. With what, Storm? Is that her daughter? I wasn't even thinking about that, but yeah, that's possible. I mean, basically, we're like another Jack and Jackie Kennedy, right? Come on. Yeah. Jack and Jackie 20. 20 what? 2020? Yeah, 2020. 2020, yeah, 2020. And then, they could win again in 2024. That's a possibility. Isn't it? Man, isn't America great? Oh, God. I thought it was Luffy 4 years ago when Trump won. Like, everything that's happened since is just... Walk in the park. What park? Yeah, that's true. What park? So yeah, I mean, I think just with what's going on, it's just been a lot of people, most people holding their breath, a lot of news watching.
it was a very close call on a lot of states that I was just looking at.
That's the thing. Like, is Georgia even confirmed yet?
Honestly, I thought they were, and I kind of fell off watching it. But
Yeah.
a lot of states, it was like 51%, 49%,
Yeah.
like
Oh yes.
super,
Yeah.
super close.
For sure.
And like you
But
said, people are still counting.
yeah, and then like I mean, but it all depends on like the actual number of votes because I mean, yeah, it can be 49, 51, but if there's a spread of 20,000 votes, I think that's outside. I mean, most recall counts.
Oh, it should be, I think.
But like
But
Georgia, I think Georgia's well within. Even if they were to call it right now for Biden, I think they're within a few thousand votes. I mean, definitely under 5,000 votes, which I think is
yeah.
definitely a lot closer, if not within the recount range.
And I think they started recounting in some states. I don't know which ones.
Yeah.
But I think Pennsylvania was one, and then a recounting.
Well, I know they've called. I know Trump is definitely like he was like just spewing out a whole bunch of lawsuits
Yeah.
where he was close, but Biden won just so he can try and see if he can get a recount. And I think most, if not all, have been already thrown out.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and what's getting me is that a lot of people who didn't want Biden to win, and then they're saying, oh, if Biden, when Biden's president, he's going to do this, this, and this. My first thing is, Biden is not president yet.
No.
And he can't say anything. Like, he can say whatever he wants to say. And I know there's a huge issue about, oh, Biden's going to make masks mandatory for all the time. And it's like, okay, first of all, Biden's not president yet. Second of all, there's so many steps that he has to do to enforce something before it's actually enforced.
And don't forget, he's going to take your cows and your cars away too.
Yeah, and people are freaking out. And I'm like, okay, guys, calm down. It hasn't happened yet. And people just freak out about things that just haven't happened. And I'm like, okay, guys, let's just take a step back and just try to think this through.
No. And part of the thing, like I remember 4 years ago when Trump won, is like, okay, well, you shouldn't. Okay, I get it. You don't like him, but you should still kind of like just wait it out. He is the American president, and we should all come together and get behind him now, and try and because hoping for, it was like this whole line of logic where like hoping for the president to fail is like hoping for the United States to fail. So it's like you should,
right,
regardless of politics, is you should get behind the president now, and
right,
it's kind of ironic. No.
It is. And I mean, it's also very interesting, and one reason why I think Biden was able to win over a lot of votes was because we had such a far right president that when we have such an extreme side, either left or right, whenever there's such an extreme side, right, America will vote for the next, like the opposite extreme.
Okay.
Because I mean, Obama was pretty extreme left, I would say, and then we voted, I would say, and probably in the middle. But after 8 years of being on the left side, America voted super far right.
Well, okay. See, I would my thing about and again, let's just rehash history. I mean, this is because we are also supposed to talk about history a little bit, I guess, to try and justify my degree at least. But, I think in 2016 it was really a failing of the DNC and like the party itself, more than it was a failing of any one particular person. I think part of the problem is that disregarding things about more kind of superficial things about Hillary, like that she was a woman, and I think that she's just generally an unlikable person. So, and then there's the whole thing about like the Clinton name too. I think a lot of people didn't like that, associated her too much with Bill.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And then I think that there was kind of the two candidates that might have won in 2016 would have either been Biden or Bernie. I think there's a lot of steam behind those two campaigns, and that the Democrats kind of like, they probably would have had Biden if they could have got him, but the problem was is he had a family tragedy at the time, I believe, and that's why he didn't even consider running at the time. And then they didn't want Bernie because they feared he was too far to the left, and they felt like they owed Hillary, especially after she didn't win the Democratic nomination in 2008, because because at the time when it was Obama versus Hillary, Obama was kind of that Bernie Sanders figure where he was this populist that came out of nowhere, and he was, he was getting the youth kind of excited in politics. And I feel like they kind of gave Hillary the nomination because they felt like they kind of shelved her for too long, and it was kind of a way to appease her. And then
we owe you one.
What?
We owe you one.
Yeah, it was kind of like this, we owe you one, and then we know how it resulted. So I don't know. That's my theories on 2016, at least. But
and so, I mean, right now it's really just like a waiting game, seeing, and just trying to learn as much as you can, I guess, but also not being too overwhelmed by it, because there's a part where you just have to step back and just let it go,
Yeah.
Before you're just consumed and upset all the time and bitter towards the world, and
So instead of pulling away for that, let's steer right into it for do you think, okay, Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, he's come out and said that he think what Trump's going to do is he's just like, he already knows that he hasn't won. Everything that he's doing right now is just theater. He's just doing it to try and rile the supporters up, get them really angry, try and get them to, Trump has been planning, he hasn't done what yet, I think, but there's talks of like him planning of doing more rallies to cover not only the legal expenses of trying to, file so many recounts, but like to also like cover up money for his campaign. And so Trump already knows that he's lost, but he's doing all this theater, and then just like around Christmas, he's gonna leave and just not come back and not acknowledge like, and just sort of just slink away. And the White House will be vacant from then on until January 20th.
Huh.
So that's what Trump's lawyer says. So I think if Trump is to go quietly, that's what he'll do. But I don't know if I'm sold on that he's gonna go quietly. So like, my question is, do you think he's gonna go quietly or not? Do you think he's going?
I mean, I don't know what else he would do. I don't know how there's no way he can forcibly stay.
See, yes and no.
I mean, I think. Go on.
See, it's never happened in the United States, but there's examples all throughout history of where dictators just kind of say like, no, I'm not leaving, and stay in power. Right. Usually through the use of military forces, and it really comes down, in this sort of situation, all comes down to the personalities of those in charge of your military. So
I think I just have, too much hope in the American system, thinking, well, we're not a dictatorship, and I believe that, once it's solid, saying, yes, Biden did win, Trump lost, there's no way he can stay. Like, either someone's gonna have to go in and remove him, maybe, but I think he's gonna go away quietly, because
you're a rational human being, and the thing you're not considering is the irrational people. What
I mean, yeah,
me is I honestly don't know about your military, like if there's people who would support a continued Trump second term, who are high enough in where they can control an effective portion of the military to forcibly keep Trump in power. Like that's
I
one
don't. I
fear.
just don't.
I don't see that as like and I should like preface this by saying like I don't see this as being like super likely, but it is a possibility. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
slim, but it is a possibility that's in my mind. And I think a lot of people don't consider this, oh, well, it's never happened here. Well, there's a lot of things that never happen here until they happen there. And
Which is true. I
so
just think if that were to happen, the American way would just crumble. Like the American system would just crumble.
And the other thing too is like there's a whole bunch of these like non-military but militant Trump supporters and militia groups and like those militia guys that were going to kidnap the governor of Michigan.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's right. So it's like people like that scare me as well. Whereas, so even if Trump doesn't have the formal military, he is going to have some sort of quasi army of his own that might help him stay in power. I don't know.
And I mean, that's just something, we're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Oh, my power.
I just want to know where the sides are before the Civil War starts.
I mean, as long as you're on the other side of the border.
Yeah, everything's fine. I can watch, get updates, and like, yeah, it'll be great. I can watch the Civil War in real time. But
so when I pack up my bag and smuggle myself across the Canadian border to find refuge in your house, I will expect welcome arms.
Okay.
And some poutine.
Yeah, poutine.
When the Civil War starts.
Poutine is good.
As long as I have a backup. See, no worries.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, but I'd like to say that I am not qualified to talk about.
You're an American citizen. That hasn't stopped anybody before.
That's true. That is true.
I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Just looking at it from the outside in, this just feels very like the end of Rome to me. Like,
so did Canada? I mean, I don't know where you guys stand, but did you guys support Biden, or were you also just like, we don't like anyone?
Okay, I would say, okay, from a like, from as the actual like government of Canada, officially they never like came out and supported one side or the other. But I can tell you that Trudeau, our prime minister, his ideals are extremely much more in line with Biden's ideals. So officially, like obviously they weren't going to say, oh, we support one candidate or the other, but unofficially, I am almost certain they are super pleased that Biden won. As far as the citizenry goes, most of the people I know are like pro Biden. And then even most of the people who, I would consider conservatives or right-leaning or that, even if they were like more pro-Republican, they kind of realize that Trump is just not great. So they were kind of, again, more pro-Biden, and there'd only be like a real slim margin that I have seen personally that would even right now are pro-Trump. So there's not very much a big a big Trump base of support here. It's just not that existent. In our last federal election, the candidate who was like the closest to Trump's ideals, he was a former member of our Conservative Party, and he split off to make his own party. It got less than 1% of the entire popular vote across the country. Like, it was a very poor showing. He even had one seat in Quebec. He lost it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was a terrible showing. So not to say that we don't have any like weird Trumpian people in our country. It's just they're a much smaller contingent.
Well, you always have some bad eggs.
No. I mean, and that's the other thing too, is like we actually have like more than two parties, so things are slightly more nuanced.
Well, see, and that was actually like a lot of complaints, I think, for my generation, where it's like, why do we have a two-party system? Like, because it's two parties always get, the most, media or whatever, the most marketing, whatever. And a lot of the smaller parties, like the Green Party or, whatever, they don't, it's like, there's no point in even running because people strictly vote blue or red no matter who is running.
Right, yeah.
It's like, I'm going to vote solely Republican because I am a Republican. I'm not even going to consider blue. There's signs where it says vote blue, vote red,
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe we shouldn't vote just for, the namesake. Maybe we should, consider the ideals, consider the person running.
Actually, think about your vote.
Actually, yeah, think about, who you're voting for, why you're voting for that person, what they believe, rather than just voting blue, vote red.
Well, I think that comes down to like the foundations of your political system, where it's been continued on for so long too, and everything is so entrenched. I would think for like you guys to like actually have a viable third party choice, like you'd have to have dissolution of one or more of your current two parties to like actually kind of make way for like another option.
Right.
I think there'd have to be like a fundamental change in the system, I guess.
Oh, definitely. I mean, and like you said, that's what everything was based off of, was based off a two-party system.
Yeah. Like even for us, like we almost have like just a three-party system where it's mostly contested between the three major parties. And I mean, while we do have other parties, I mean, depending on which party you're talking about, like not a lot of them get a ton of votes. Like it wasn't until recently where like we got like a substantial amount of Green MPs. Like for the longest time, it was just one, the Green MP's leader's seat out in BC. They kept getting reelected, but with the past election, they actually are up to 3. And if we actually had proportional representation, I think they'd get even more than that. But that's another story. So like that's and that's with federal parliament, and then provincial it changes too. It's a whole mess. And then we have regional parties like the Bloc. It's the Bloc. Bloc is the federal one. I should know this.
Are you even a Canadian?
Yes, but it's Quebec politics, and I'm an Anglo-Canadian, so I don't actually have to know.
Well, like, when I went to vote, and you can see, the names, you click the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other names that were listed for the Green Party,
when you did that, you clicked on Kanye.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing Kanye's name because I was just like, I don't know these people. It wasn't until I saw the statistics saying like, oh, this person had this many votes, and I was like, Kanye ran. So yeah, because like they don't even mention really anyone else running other than the blue and red.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And I mean, do you have like a lot like I don't know, but like, is there like a lot of like, do write-in candidates there get like a lot of votes? Like we typically don't have like a lot of write-in candidate. Like,
I think Kanye was a write-in. I think that's why I didn't see his name. I think he was a write-in.
Oh, okay.
But no, most write-in votes don't get like a lot of anything.
Yeah.
No, it's not. And I mean, maybe for like districts, maybe for like the county write-in votes would mean something, but
yeah. That's the other thing too, is you got the Senate race. That's coming down very close too, and that can affect a lot of things.
Well, right, because I mean, if you have a
there's
Republican president and you have a Democratic Senate, I mean, that's going to be a lot of, butting heads.
Right, but so hopefully you're going to have a Democratic president.
Yeah.
Depending on how the Civil War goes. But right now, the Senate's at 50-48 in favor of the Republicans, and then there's like the two runoff elections in Georgia. They were like too close to call, so they're having another vote because there were some third party candidates who got votes, so they're having another vote this time just with the two Republican and Democrat candidates. And now if the two Democrats win, then it'll be a 50-50 Senate with the vice president breaking the tie.
Wow.
It will effectively be a Democrat controlled.
That would be interesting.
Again, assuming the Civil War goes in Biden's favor. Or should I say Harris, because I don't think Biden will see the end of the Civil War.
Wow. I mean, and I will say there are a lot of firsts in this election. I mean, we have the first female vice president, which is, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think I saw that this election, more females ran for offices, which is great. So, I mean, I think, oh my gosh. Did you see that?
No, it just kind of flashed your profile pic and then it went.
Oh, okay. My phone said I was at 10%. But yeah, I know. But shoot. Oh, so even from, a lot of, stressful years with Trump, saying that America was moving in the wrong direction, I think this election showed, just by the number of women who ran for offices, the number of minorities who ran for offices, it just shows, that overall, I think America is getting back on the right path and prevailing over the last 4 years that, seemed like we were going in the wrong direction. So I think that is very hopeful and shows how, America means well. We do. And the people do.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, I think that's just something good to look at from this election, regardless of whether you voted for Trump or Biden, just seeing the statistics, I think that is a positive.
Yeah. People actually engaged in voting.
Yeah, I think a lot,
democracy. Like that I think that, I'll always be in favor of that. If people actually getting out to vote, because I feel like, especially in kind of these modern Western democracies, that people are very apathetic towards that. And I think even if you're going to vote third, fourth, or sixth party, that your vote still counts. It still shows that there is support behind one movement or another, and
right.
I still do think that's important.
Right, and it just shows that America likes change.
Yeah.
America's always changing.
Yes. Very rapidly soon with its.
Yeah. Very rapidly.
It's disintegration, but.
Maybe Canada can just, take us under your wing.
Just annex.
Just annex to Canada.
We'll do that. We'll definitely take Alaska, because that should be ours in the first place anyways.
Didn't Alaska vote for Trump?
Yeah.
Which kind of surprised me, but I don't know Alaska.
Don't worry, we'll probably, overtake them. Anyways, all those pro-Trump Alaskans will just, I don't know, either move them up farther north.
I
Freeze.
was gonna say, so they can freeze it out?
Yeah, sure. I wasn't trying to advocate for a genocide of Alaskans, but I guess that's where we are now.
Under Canada.
Yeah. Would it be the first time?
That is dark humor. Would it be the first time? Oh my
Would it
God.
be the first time?
But not American history. Let's talk about Canadian history.
But what do you want to know about Canadian history?
Canadian genocides, you know.
Whatever you want to talk about. I was just trying to make a joke and hopefully I just wanted to quickly acknowledge we done bad things and move on.
So our next topic is Canadian genocide.
Oh God. We did bad things.
We said it American.
I'm just not prepared to talk about this right now. We already talked about, I mean, I don't know, this is a few episodes ago now, and I mean, it's just a while ago now, but we did talk about residential schools and that, which is a very terrible thing that we did, all that fun stuff. Did I talk about it? I talked about it a little bit with you, right?
Yeah.
And then I did talk about it with another past guest, Megan Kaveen. So if you want to learn more about why Canada is not so great all the time, re-listen to that episode and or just Google anything about residential schools. Fun.
The more you know, hey, that's okay. You have to acknowledge it to move on.
Yeah, that is a thing.
And I did see that, okay, this is just a news article that popped up on my phone, so take it with a grain of salt. But the title was that Trump acknowledges possible defeat for the first time. So, I mean, baby steps,
Okay, was that like a public acknowledgement? Because like there's been a lot of reports that he's acknowledged it in private.
Mm-hmm.
Like to his family members and like his staff, but like at least I haven't seen anything where he acknowledges it publicly.
I think it might have been a public. I honestly don't know. Like I said, it was just an article title. So I mean, baby steps,
article, just the titles.
Literally just the title. That's all I need to know.
Just never read a full article. Just get the titles, get the gist. There we go.
Get the spark notes. But so baby steps, first he just has to acknowledge it and then he can move on. I mean, tie it all back.
It's not, I don't think that's going to happen. Trump moving on. That's the other thing. The other thing I said, like he said right before the election was he was talking about like, oh, if you guys don't vote for me, I'm never coming back to this state again. Or I might even have to leave the country.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, he said that like numerous times. Like he might like leave the country.
If he left the country, I don't know where he'd go.
Well, I think especially if he doesn't get pardoned for any possible crimes he may or may not have committed, then it might be a necessity for him to stay out of jail.
That wouldn't be the first time a U.S. president went to jail, right?
I don't know. I can't think of any specific time a former president was jailed. I'm not off the top of my head, at least. I don't know. But the only one who came close was Nixon, and what Nixon did is before he. So first thing is before
wasn't it like say?
Okay, well, before the Watergate scandal, Nixon's vice president Spiro Agnew had a scandal of his own. I forget exactly what happened, but he stepped down, and so Nixon was trying to find another vice president to fill in. So the problem was Nixon already knew Watergate was going to go down. He just didn't know when. So he wanted to get somebody inside who would back him up, and essentially so he could I've been saying abdicate, but step down as president, and then he wanted a vice president who would pardon him for all his crimes, and then so he could just kind of slink off, right?
Yeah.
The problem was that at the time every because they had to go through, I forget if it was Senate or Congress, they had to go through one of them to say, like, to confirm his new VP pick. But every Republican they put forward, they were just coming back, no, no, no. They were obviously, too corrupt, Nixonite sort of people. So eventually it came down to Gerald Ford, who was, while he was a Republican, he was kind of like seen as this Mr. Rogers, like everybody loved him sort of type. Like they knew he was very trustworthy and figured he wouldn't do anything. But before Nixon would officially nominate him, he went and got assurances from Ford that he would get pardoned. So he could, still get out relatively scot-free.
And I mean, I'm from Illinois, so if anyone knows about the Illinois government and corruption, I think we haven't had I think our last, like, 2 or 3 governors have ended up in jail.
Oh.
During their
during their tenure.
Time in office.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think actually the last governor who ended up in jail, I think he just got out a month or 2 ago.
What are they doing? Like, why is Illinois so
corrupt? I don't know. I mean, it seems like it's a criteria, to be governor, you have to go to jail. You have to do something corrupt. Otherwise, you can't be governor.
I served 5 years as capo for the Garibaldi family.
Right. Like, I mean, they should just start running and being like, oh, I stole this many millions. I don't know.
Jeez.
Yeah. It's just nuts. And the commercials on, running for offices in Illinois, it's all very petty. Like, so-and-so voted to, steal millions of dollars from, babies, and I don't know. It's just all so petty, and it's like, are we in high school?
Those rich babies are getting too far out of control.
Right. It's just like ridiculous.
Taken away.
And it's like, so-and-so voted to, not, I don't know, to raise taxes on such and such. It's just like, just tell me what you're running for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And why. Stop bashing everyone else. Tell me what you're running for and why.
Yeah. That's the other thing, like, I don't get about American politics really is, like, it is a symptom of the two-party system, but, like, everyone is so aggressive towards each other. Like, even if it's like a primary, like a presidential primary, like they attack each other mercilessly.
Oh, I know. I mean, and I didn't watch a lot of the debates, but one of the debates I did watch, I think, like, they were just attacking each other, and I think Trump attacked Biden for, one of his sons had an addiction problem, and Trump attacked him for that.
Oh yeah.
It's like, why? That has nothing to do with politics.
What's going on?
Why are you bringing personal matters into this? And I think Biden actually responded very well. I mean, he said, there's millions of Americans who do struggle with addiction, and I love my son just as much. And it's just like, good for you, Biden.
Right. And I think that contrast hurt Trump more than he realized. Like, it's so much so that, like, Trump obviously kind of, like, came off as the bully in that confrontation. Like,
oh, definitely.
Like, so I think, like, even Republicans were like, yeah, that kind of wasn't cool. Like, even if they're not very, like, pro drug or anything like that, or pro, like, healthcare services for people in that situation, I think they're kind of like, yeah, that wasn't really cool.
No, it wasn't. And I mean, why? Like I said, like, why do you bring personal matters into this? Like, it's not. Yeah. It's not Trump's business.
Trump doesn't really disassociate, like, personal from professional. Like,
right.
I think for him, like, everything is intertwined. Like, nothing. There is no. like Biden was even like even I think it was when Trump came down with the COVID. Like Biden like even went out of his way to say like, oh, it's a shame that he caught COVID and all this stuff. And what was the? Oh no, it was when his brother died. When Trump's brother died. Like Trump, Trump's brother Robert Trump. He died like during a couple months ago, like during the middle of this election. And like Biden, who's seen a lot of personal tragedy, like I think he's had a wife, he's had multiple children like die, like it's a whole thing if you go back and look at his history.
Yeah.
But like he like issued like, oh, I'm sorry to hear about your loss and my condolences, and I know how tough this can be and all this stuff. Like that just shows you that. I mean, like I'm not particularly a big fan of Biden, but that shows you that he's a human being and like actually has feelings and you know, acts appropriately, and just shows that, you know, he's more or less a good person, I would say.
Right. And I think that's great. I think it's good that, you know, we're potentially having someone in office who is more, I don't know, nice.
Yeah.
And I think some of his sons were in Afghanistan. I think he mentioned. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I just wish it was all more about the issues rather than personal attacks.
Right, yeah.
Because, I mean, nobody's perfect. Everyone has a history. So it's just like...
But this was also why, like... and again, as much as I dislike this kind of role of politics, I did really enjoy this. If you go back and look at the Democratic primaries, when Tulsi Gabbard ends up hammering Kamala Harris on her record as the DA in California. Kamala Harris did a lot of bad things. And like the worst thing, in my opinion, that she did is she withheld evidence from people who were on death row, people who were about to be executed, okay? She withheld evidence from these people that proved their innocence. So these people were wrongly put on death row, and she withheld that evidence to uphold her case. Like, it's one thing I get, you're trying to preserve your job and preserve your record and all that thing, but there's people's lives at stake here. People who did not commit these heinous crimes. And you would rather let them swing than admit that you and or someone under you, you know, messed up a little bit, possibly. Like, that's something that I just, whether you agree with the death penalty or not, I don't, you know, one innocent person swinging is too many, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure.
I don't know. So I don't like Kamala Harris very much for those reasons specifically, and then the whole thing. I really like the interaction where Tulsi just kind of hammers her on that point in the Democratic primary.
I mean, that's a fair point. That's a fair reason not to like her. Yeah, I mean, politics it's some dirty business.
Oh yeah, the dirtiest.
It really is.
Yeah, but you know, that's your country, and I don't know what to do anymore.
You're welcome anytime, Matt.
What?
Then you're welcome anytime.
Yeah, about that. The border's still closed, thankfully. I don't know, I was actually looking at the cases today for the states, and apparently like the entire Midwest is just not doing good.
No, it's not. It's not. And I mean, I feel like, come on. Everybody's had it now. Come on.
Time for round 2.
And that's what everyone's saying. And it's just unfortunate because, I mean, the holidays are coming up. And after this crazy year, people are just, ready to see family and be with family. And
but
so
that's it.
I'm going to go home and see my family.
Yeah. Same. But I don't know. At least us, like, we've been moderately okay. Like, we did go back up again, but now we're kind of again going back down. So I mean, we're doing pretty good at the cases. And then Ottawa specifically, it's like mostly retirement homes and elementary schools. So unless you are in contact with either of those, your chance for exposure is even lower. Now, I'm not saying you should just go out if you live in Ottawa and start licking doorknobs, but you're less likely to lick doorknobs in other places.
I think everybody should just go out and start licking all the doorknobs.
Oh yeah, just speed this up, get it over with.
Build that immunity, right?
Yeah. That should be the new third American political party, the doorknob lickers.
I support it. Just kidding, guys. Please don't do that. See, now he's encouraging it. They're gonna get mixed feelings, mixed reviews here, mixed signals.
No.
Don't lick the doorknob. Do lick the doorknob. I don't know.
Live anywhere in the United States of America right now. Lick as many doorknobs as fast as you can.
Yeah. It's now a race.
Yeah. I just want to be perfect.
I mean, I haven't gotten it yet, or if I did, I know.
No, you haven't gotten it, but you've been everywhere where people have had it, right?
I mean, I guess. I mean, I did get tested, what was that, Thursday? I think I got tested. So I should know my results soon.
Right.
So, but I do want to go home for Thanksgiving, so I will try to. I've been trying to be better about.
Completely wrong date for Thanksgiving?
I think it's the 26th of November. It's that third Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, it's always the third Thursday of November.
Completely wrong. Out of season. Okay.
Out of season. Do you even celebrate Halloween?
We do. On the 31st.
What do you have in November? Nothing.
Yeah, well, we have Remembrance Day where remember the troops.
When's that? Is that November 11th?
Yes. Every country.
We have that too. Do you know why it's November 11th, Matthew?
Because it's the end of the first year.
Good job. See, your history degree is never a waste.
Oh, come on. That's a softball.
I was history too.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I feel like everybody should know that. Like, if you got through your entire really? Is that a thing in the United States? If you get through your entire publication or your entire like public school career without learning why we have Remembrance Day on Remembrance Day, I feel like they failed you.
I mean, I think it's brought up like once in like American history or whatever, but it's never like people don't remember it. People don't acknowledge that. It's always just like go troops, go America. It's a good holiday. It's a great holiday. Great day of remembrance.
Yeah.
Except we call it Veterans Day.
Oh yeah, that's where you go wrong.
I think I like how you have Remembrance Day. I like that because I think we have Veterans Day and then we have Memorial Day.
Right, yeah.
And I think those can kind of people get confused because they're like, which one's in, when?
Right.
So.
No, yeah, we just have the one Remembrance Day.
Yeah. So your November is,
Yeah, that's it. And then we have Christmas, and then it starts all over again.
And then it starts all over. 2021.
Yep. Oh god, this year went by so fast.
Oh, I know. Like it's
between a pandemic, possible civil war.
Yeah.
It's been.
Let's see what 2021 brings.
Yeah.
New year, new me, right?
Right. New everything likely.
Oh, there is one little part that I wanted to, I forgot to mention about the election. I don't know if you can cut this part out and put it back where we were talking about.
Probably just keep it going. That's the same.
Okay. Well, or you can cut it out completely. Do you watch The Bachelorette, or is Canada familiar with The Bachelorette?
I mean, I imagine some people are. I am not, and I don't know if any of my listeners are. I just don't see a lot of crossover between people who like to listen to me, for whatever reason that might be, and people who watch The Bachelor. I don't. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe 100% of my listener base watches The Bachelor as well.
Yeah, no judgment.
Well,
so this election brought out a lot of memes, a lot of good solid memes, and one that I particularly really enjoyed was I think it was the Nevada counting, like, come on Nevada, and there were a lot of memes that correlated Nevada, like the counting of the election, specifically Nevada, with The Bachelorette.
Oh god, yeah.
Because it would be like, the counters, people counting in Nevada, watching The Bachelorette or whatever, and it would be, that's why it was taking so long. It's because they were watching The Bachelorette.
I've actually been finding a lot of Simpsons memes about the election.
Yeah, those two.
That's what I like. That was the best one I saw this morning was it's Kent Brock when he's on the news and it's like, oh, let's go to the election fraud counter, and then there's this guy and he's got this big counter and the mega hat on and says, well, we're still sitting at zero accounts of fraudulent voters, but we're expecting it to jump up any minute. And they jump back to Kent. It's like, damn you Democrats. I mean,
yeah, that's another positive from this election.
Right. Oh yes, all the memes, all the dank memes,
all the good memes. But
yeah.
On that note, we'll probably end it there. We'll end it on a good, solid, positive note.
Is that a positive note? I don't know. Just the memes. Hang in
the
for
memes?
the meme.
I just can't wait until textbooks, 50 years from now, incorporate memes.
Oh, they are. Like that's 100% gonna happen. Like, I don't know if you remember
to show. I mean, it's
where they'll have like pictures of like things or items from whatever the textbook is talking about, but we'll just have like memes.
I know.
Like
in
the same way, like when they talk about like World War I and like all the political cartoons, like they'll have the memes in there too.
Exactly. Now it's memes.
Remember when we were in England and it was Pip. She was like really into like all those World War I cartoons. Like there's going to be historians that solely research memes in the future. That is going to be 100%,
I'm sure
100% a legit job. I mean, we're not going to have it, like our children aren't going to have it, but like our grandchildren will probably be like meme researchers. Like that legit will
Yeah.
happen.
I mean, that's the great thing about history.
That's just I don't know if that makes me hopeful or frightful for the future. The possible researchers.
Well, all right. Well, I'll probably have to get going. I gotta do some laundry.
Okay, so actually, I have to do the same.
I thought you did yours before this call.
Yeah, I put it in.
Oh, okay.
So now the laundry should be done, but
that's fair.
So no.
All right. Well, thanks for having me back, Matt. It's been a good one.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. See you later.